welcome to episode 5 of the Shootaround podcast. This week we're going to discuss the early season, what's been happening in the league, a little bit of James Harden controversy.
Oh, yeah.
Let's wish everyone a Merry Christmas.
Merry
Christmas.
Happy
holidays. Happy New Year, because when you'll be watching this, it'll be just before the New Year.
Correct.
So enjoy your holidays. Happy Hanukkah to our Jewish friends. What else have we got? What are the other holidays?
I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Yeah, cool. All right. Happy holidays, everyone. Just enjoy your holidays. Stay safe. Drive safely.
Stay safe. That's the most
Look
important thing.
after your families.
Stay inside and listen to the Shootaround podcast.
Yeah.
And if you're not listening to us, you can also find us on Facebook.
Oh, smooth transition.
At the Shootaround Pod. We're also on YouTube under the same name. Twitter and Instagram at Shootaround Pod. And on TikTok, everyone's favorite these days, I think, unless I'm not up with the times.
The kids. It's the kids' favorite.
The kids, yeah.
Yeah.
At Shootaround NBA Pod. So hit us up, like, subscribe, share with your friends, comment. We love it. Interact with us. We'll be interacting right back. But yeah, so just to start with, we'll run through a couple things that have happened here. Starting with James Harden. He's been acting up a bit, which we already knew. I mean, before in previous episodes, we had talked about his actions and what he was trying to accomplish, seemingly. It's not like he's categorically come out and stated he wants out, like to a press conference group of people. Yeah. But it seems pretty obvious. And then he's been throwing basketballs at people in practice. Yeah. And he's starting to add other teams reportedly to his wish list of teams to go to.
He's kind of acting like a bit like a toddler. Just throwing a massive temper tantrum.
World's oldest looking toddler, I think, right now.
Man.
Yeah.
And without saying point blank that he wants to be traded, without holding a press conference, without sitting out of games saying, trade me, he's doing everything he possibly can to lower his value.
Agreed.
So the Rockets can receive less for him, so he gets to go to a good franchise. Because I've heard a lot of the talks that they've had so far, or the news is that a lot of the talks they've had so far, the trade discussions never get past the first offer because the Rockets say, no, we need like 3 first-round picks as well as a superstar.
We need a lot, basically.
And Harden's not happy with that because he just wants to go to a good franchise, and they're not going to mortgage their future over James Harden.
They need their future. Like, they're stuck with a few big contracts as is, so they're not going to start just, It's unlikely for them to just take on other massive contracts that are not beneficial to their future and trading away assets.
Especially Philadelphia. They cannot afford to give up their future for James Harden.
I agree, man.
They can't afford to.
This is to the point of like his actions. Like he's hurting his own character with the way he's reacting to things and the way he's treating his teammates and what have you. Like, why would another team want to take him on? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, they don't. That's the thing. And like a lot of teams don't for that exact reason.
Yeah.
But all he's doing is lowering his value and getting his agent to call the teams and being like, hey, he's available now for less because the Rockets can't have him on the roster. He's already cost them their round 1 game.
Yeah. His agent's probably calling him being like, listen, we've got one toddler here with a beard. Yeah. Can I interest you in that?
Yeah.
And the other teams are like, let me think. No.
No, an overweight toddler with a beard.
Yeah, that's right. He's put on some baby weight.
He has.
Bit of baby
fat. He looked really good in preseason. That's the funniest thing about this whole thing. He looked really good, and then he turns up for the first game. He's like, I want to be traded. Also, I've put on 20 kilos.
Yeah, don't mind that.
Pounds for
Can we change the jerseys to black so we just hide all the weight? Nah. It's funny because I loved how, I can't remember if we discussed this, but he was like, I don't know if it was him or the videos of him shooting around in, workouts or what have you. He looked really trim. He looked in shape. He looked built, to be honest. And then, he comes out in preseason and he kind of looks like Santa Claus, the black Santa Claus. And that was just kind of weird. It was like those videos were probably from last year. Or from much earlier in the off season. I don't know.
You'd have to think it was when they called the season.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, just with how he turned up in that preseason game, you'd have to think that it was a while ago.
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
Look, I don't really want to say too much about Harden, too much more, because I think he will be moved, and there's definitely more news to come. So
it's going to be a big storyline, so keep in tune with that. Stay on the Twitter sphere and the Reddit sphere. Keep Woj in your bookmarks.
Instagrammers.
And Shams,
Stay on your gram.
Instagram, yeah. No, for sure. Keep an eye out for James Harden. He'll be on the move.
Yeah.
I think we both agreed he's on the move somewhere.
Yeah, he's going. I don't think there's any chance of salvaging that relationship, especially after
Too far gone.
where they've got now.
Exactly.
It has to end. It has to. They just have to pull the pin.
Yeah, I don't see how the other players on the team, not that he's like committed a crime or anything, but it's kind of unforgivable.
Yeah.
To this stage, anyway.
Well, John Wall was about to make his return after 2 years, and he's just ruined that. DeMarcus Cousins was about to make his return, and he's ruined that.
And it's funny because like he's a really good fit with just in particular Christian Wood. Yeah. Like they played in like he was throwing nice passes to him, pick and roll, pick and pop, whatever you want. Christian Wood has it, and he's still young. Yeah. So good partner. You know, you could argue. Let's just say Joel Embiid. Pretty good partner for him as well, but that's neither here nor there. Whatever's happened in Houston doesn't seem salvageable, like you said. I think they're just going to move on. So, yeah.
Past the point of no return now.
Yeah,
so,
I think so.
Get off that, Rockets. Move it.
For sure. Another thing, actually, I'm sure everybody saw Kawhi Leonard go down on
the Christmas Day
Nuggets game. Yeah. He got a severely strong elbow from Serge Ibaka.
That's a big elbow.
I mean, a sharp elbow from the looks of it. But yeah, he took an MMA style hit there. That was rough. Obviously unintentional. Serge is a good guy, I'm sure. But Kawhi went down in a heap. I mean, we're only speculating. He looked concussed. He was bleeding a bit. But yeah, it was a rough time to watch. Yeah. And the slow-mo came out, and it was like, oh my God.
It's awful.
Kawhi, are you all right?
It's awful. His whole face was vibrating. It was like, it was solid, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a good one. I've had a couple of elbows in the face playing basketball, but I've never seen.
Probably from me.
Yeah, probably.
I'm good at that.
Yeah. A bit wild with the elbows. But yeah, an elbow from a 7-foot tall guy
who's sprinting to the rim.
Yeah, and he's built too. It's not nice. But yeah, all the best to Kawhi. If you're watching this, Kawhi, because I would think that you would be. Just hope that you get better and make a return. You've looked pretty good this season so far in the first 2 games anyway. So speedy recovery.
Maybe he won't miss too much, but like in the games you're not there, you'll be missed because I love watching Kawhi.
I had a bet that he'd get over 25 points, and he went off at 21. So,
well, that's no good.
No.
All right. Well,
that's not a nice one.
We wanted to talk a bit about some of the extensions just before it becomes super late news.
My hot take on these. There's no good extensions here.
Ooh, okay. Go on. Start us off, please.
Okay.
Speak the truth.
There are no good extensions here. I don't like teams extending because they don't want to lose assets for nothing. I would rather them let them go in free agency because they're then tying up their own cap. And then you could have like dead wood on your team and you can't move off it. You just need to look at a couple of teams across the league like Orlando who've extended every player they've ever drafted. As well as Tobias Harris, his extension, Al Horford, who extended with Boston and then was traded. It's just not good. Like
in some circumstances, it's not good. Every team is a bit different. My point would be if any of the extensions were okay, it would be Gobert's, honestly. Even though the money is extremely high for that team and that market, you can't replace Rudy Gobert. That's the problem. They've built their identity around Mitchell and Gobert, and I actually didn't think they were going to last that long because of what happened with the bubble. And earlier when the season was canceled, I thought that whole thing was a bit of a mess, but they seem to have salvaged it. Good for them. That team, that identity is Mitchell, Gobert, plug everybody in around it. Yeah. I mean, of course, Joe Ingles as well is the third superstar there. Can't forget him. Where's his extension?
My man Jingles.
Yeah, Jinglin' Joe. But nonetheless, I think the Gobert contract was high, but you had to do it because you can't replace Gobert. His statistical importance to Utah,
a plus minus is off the charts, but I think he's
contesting shots, defensive rating, everything. It's just insane with him, without him. It's a total difference, night and day defense that they have.
I also they drafted Azubuike as well. He's a similar build to Gobert, but a lot bigger, like a lot heavier.
Right. Gobert's a
And-
bit lanky.
And that's where it gets confusing for me, because they draft a guy who's 7 foot tall, weighs 270 pounds. He's a big behemoth of a center.
Of a human.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you then re-up with Rudy Gobert rather than seeing what you've got in Azubuike first. And I understand you had to extend him by a certain time frame, otherwise it becomes unrestricted and he goes into the end of free agency and could go anywhere. But Rudy Gobert is not the answer for the modern NBA. Unfortunately, like plus minus off the charts, they're never going to go further without a guy that can stretch the floor at the 5 with the way that the NBA has developed.
They need additional guys. I think they were definitely in a tough spot.
But how do they do that now?
I know. It's really tricky. That's the thing. Like I feel like they did the right thing. Doing the wrong thing may have paid off long term.
Yeah.
But it's hard to replace Gobert. They want to be competitive right now. They just paid Donovan Mitchell very handsomely.
Yep.
So like you're not gonna pay the other guy as well. It just wasn't gonna work out for
Well,
them.
they extended Clarkson.
Yeah.
They got Mike Conley on the roster, who
Is-
should leave in free agency if they
Most
don't
likely.
re-sign him for like a $10 million contract, which is about all he's worth at the moment. But that's what the draft's for. You know, like you got to let
Yeah.
these guys go. If it's not
Sometimes
working,
you do.
and if you're not getting out of the second round, move on.
Sometimes
Like,
you got to make a change.
You really
yeah.
just have to accept the fact that you're not going to go any further, cut your losses, and move on from the roster you have. It's unfortunate because I like this Utah roster the way it is, but let Rudy Gobert go somewhere else. Let someone else pay Rudy Gobert.
I
And
would've
you
been-
end up with another center. Like, you could trade for Miles Turner. He's available. Miles Turner offers a similar defensive... Oh, well, that's a stretch. He offers defensive impact in
Right.
another way. I mean, his first game this year, he had 8 blocks, and I'll get into that, but he was unreal. Yeah.
I was going to talk about 8 blocks as well. It's pretty impressive.
I had it.
But no, yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like maybe in a way bring in 80% of Rudy Gobert and see how you go, because Rudy Gobert at that price, again, it's hard to argue that. Although I still think Utah did the right thing. They stood by their guy. They developed him. He knows the culture. He is their defensive anchor. You can't replace a guy like that. So like I'm more on the side of agreeing with what they did, but I definitely see the other side.
It's a tough one. Like,
Yeah.
you could... I just don't
$205
think...
million.
That's a lot of money. I just don't think it's the right move for Utah. It's not what they needed now. They need to wait another season, see how things go. Well, now you can't even trade him. Like, who are you going to get for a $205 million contract? Yeah, Tobias Harris. Like, come on. Come on. Like, I feel bad for Utah because you're in a really tough situation. So it's not that Rudy Gobert is not worthy of the extension. It's just like looking at that team going, oh, okay, well, now they're going to be perennial second round exits. Like,
Western Conference Finals at best. Yeah.
well, yeah, maybe. That's if they can get through the,
Whoever. It
the
doesn't
other.
matter. It's a gauntlet in the
it's-
West.
yeah.
If they make it to the Lakers are going to probably beat them.
Well, the West is just kind of, okay, well, we've got a team that's good enough to get us to the finals. We might get some ticket revenue. At the moment, that's impossible.
Yeah.
But
That ain't
you might
happening.
get some ticket revenue. But what is it doing for your franchise if you aren't competing every year for a chip?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know what the out is. If they continue to be, middle of the pack playoff team.
Yeah.
I don't know what they do. Maybe
Yeah.
they'll make another move that we haven't foreseen, but it is tough. Yeah.
I feel bad because I don't want to, slam Utah for making the move. I don't want to slam Rudy Gobert. I like watching Rudy Gobert play. I just think it's just a tough move for Utah to make, and I don't think they made the right choice.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yep.
I get it.
Let's move on to Anunoby. This one's okay, but again, is probably someone you could just test the waters with in free agency. You got him on a restricted free agency deal. Let him go out there, see what other teams will throw at him. And if he gets more there, then let him go.
Yeah, so the contract for OG Anunoby with the Toronto Raptors was 4 years, $72 million. I can't remember how much of it was guaranteed. But I think it was a good move because if you let him test the waters in free agency, somebody would offer more. That's my point.
Yeah.
And they got him at an excellent price because he's still young.
Yeah.
He's going to continue to develop. His defensive importance to that team can't be measured. Him and Siakam are perfect defensive guys to build around.
Yep.
He's clutch. We saw that in the playoffs.
Yep.
Multiple years, actually. And, yeah, he's great size, length. He's only 23 and a half years old. Like,
Yeah.
I love him. I love him on that team. I love him for that price.
I like OG. He's got a lot of upside.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, you know, the early extensions are what bother me the most is, you know, freaking out about someone getting more money in free agency. Like, we don't know what this year's free agency is going to look like.
True.
You know, you've got
Bit messy.
a couple of guys falling in there. If a couple of players turn down their player options, it could be a loaded free agency. Obviously not having Giannis in it anymore, but there could be a couple of really good players in this year's free agency, and OG might be one of those guys that just falls under the radar. So extending him early, you know, it's another one of those ones that could go either way. I'm just not a huge fan of these extensions being as early as they are, with as much money as they have.
Yeah.
The OG one is probably his value. That's probably what he would have got. Someone might have paid him 20 mil. But, yeah, look, in this context, I like him for his defensive impact. He can improve from the three-point line. We've seen that he has the ability to shoot the three. He can get better.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Look, it's not a bad one, but, again, yeah, it's just...
You don't love it.
I just struggle with the extensions. Like
I know. Some of them are nuts. And, like, we'll get into... There's two others that we wanted to chat about. Just last thing on the Anunoby thing. I like it because they gave him exactly what he would at least get.
Yeah.
He would at least get what he earned,
Yep.
the money that he was extended for.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Another team would have came in, like you say, 20 plus million.
Yeah.
Toronto, I mean, 1 to 2, 3 more million per year, whatever. You know, you could pick nits about that. But I think they did the right thing for sure. Again, another guy, not as hard to replace as Gobert, to be honest.
Yeah.
But difficult to replace,
Well, he's
considering you've developed. He knows your system. Nick Nurse trusts him to play he can guard almost 5 positions. Like, he's really an invaluable player. So
Well, he's like your stock standard 3-and-D player.
he is.
That's what he was brought in to do, and that's what he has done to this point. For 16 million, he's probably at the high end of 3-and-D players. I'd have to, go through the list of players that are, 3-and-D.
There are
as they're
comparable
called.
players. I think Anunoby is unique because of his length and his size and his strength. Like, he was playing the 5 in a lot of situations.
Yeah,
So
right.
he can be a stretch 4 at least in a lot of games, with Siakam playing stretch 5.
Yeah.
So he just affords them a lot of versatility. And that's why I like them re-signing it. But, of course, maybe he would have gotten a similar number in restricted free agency. Test the waters this year and see if he continues to develop. I have a lot of faith in him, but that's where I stand on that.
They've extended him on his upside. I don't think he's quite shown what he's capable of yet.
Not yet.
So
23 years
if he
old,
can
he's got
take a
lots of room.
couple more, steps forward in his career, then that looks really good. But yeah, I would just like to see Toronto hold off and other teams hold off on extending players just because they could potentially be better. Like when Orlando extended Aaron Gordon, who hadn't shown anything to that point in his career other than hops
Fair.
and boards.
And a couple. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I see
So
what you mean.
yeah, I just think it's a lose-lose in some situations.
It
but
is, yeah.
It's just such a toss of the coin with these players that you just don't know.
Yeah, I think the overriding theme with the extensions, it depends on the team and depends on the situation,
Yep.
the player, etc., the relationship, the trust factor.
Yep.
A lot of factors, obviously. That's why the GMs get the big bucks.
Yes.
Another extension I actually kind of thought was bonkers. Luke Kennard got 4 years, $64 million. Now,
Yeah.
I just want to make a point about this. He's a clear example that shooting is extremely valuable right now.
Yep.
I look at him in a similar light to Joe Harris, who
Mhm.
got, I think, the same contract, if not a bit more.
I think he got the same.
Virtually the same.
72, I think.
But I
Joe.
actually would take Kennard because, and neither of them to me are worth that money, but I would take Kennard because he can actually create offense in a pinch. I wouldn't go to him, like Detroit relied on him way too much, the Pistons,
Yep.
in previous seasons.
Yep.
And he was a good player. I think he averaged 15 points per game last season. But I don't see why you should be paying a guy $64 million. He just got traded to the Clippers. Again, 3 years into his career, is he worth that much? You're tied to him now. You might be able to trade him to some other sucker team. But I wasn't a huge fan of that contract. What did you think?
Yeah, no.
Pass?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pass. That's the same sort of story. Like, Clippers are just extending players because they can, they have to. Because Kawhi said he's going to walk, which is another storyline.
Steve Ballmer is out here like Oprah handing out contracts.
Yeah, man, he's just like splashing the cash left, right, and center.
Splashville.
And I like Kennard's upside. He can create shots off the dribble.
Yeah.
He has the potential to be kind of like a six-man point guard off the bench. He can carry the ball.
That's right.
He carried the offense last year for Detroit through
He
a lot of
did a
games.
really good job. I'll give him credit for that.
And he played really well with Christian Wood. Those two were the stars on Detroit last year.
Yeah.
Which is really
You
saying
missed out
something
if you
about
didn't
Detroit.
see. Yeah. If you weren't watching Detroit, you missed out.
You missed out on a lot of bad basketball. Yeah, look, he has upside. Through 2 games at LA, it's too early to tell, but averaging 6 points in 2 games off the bench, playing 20 minutes a game, you want to see more of that spark plug offense off the bench from Kennard.
Yeah.
And he's already, not playing to that value. So there's a lot of pressure in LA because there's a lot expected of the Clippers and Lakers especially. So yeah, he has a lot to live up to now in LA. And he's just... It's another one I just let to go to free agency, and if someone pays him, they pay him. Off he goes. Like, let him go.
I think it's funny because the shooting,
and they let Landry Shamet go. Like,
I think Landry Shamet is like he was replaced by Kennard.
Yes,
in a way.
But he's catch and shoot, which you didn't have to extend. That's another player that will probably just go to free agency and pick up. A
Just
fair
get another
amount,
guy.
maybe 12 mil. But
that's the thing I was going to say is like the shooting is very valuable. But there's more shooters. Like the breadth of shooting that's available these days is incredible. Again, Luke Kennard can create offense, which makes him slightly more unique than the average name whoever you want.
Yeah.
Shooting guard, small forward, shooter, or
Yep.
point guard in his case.
Yep.
But yeah, I didn't like it at all, that extension. They might come to regret it. I can see that happening, but
well, considering he only played 28 games last year,
that is a good caveat. I appreciate you pointing that out because
Yeah.
I said he averaged 15. Well, he averaged 15.8,
Yep.
but 28 games.
he only played 28 games.
Yeah.
He was good in the games that he played, but it's not enough for a GM to look at him and go, yeah, he's worth around 20 mil a year.
Honestly, it seems like Ballmer, like you say, he's just splashing money. He's like, oh, Kennard's good. I'll trust your word on the GM side of things.
He just doesn't want to let players leave in free agency, and I think that's a complex that a lot of GMs have.
Some might have that, yeah.
You can let him go to the trade deadline and be like, is he really worth this extension? He hasn't even played with the Clippers, and they were that worried about watching him leave that they paid him.
Well, maybe what it is it's trying to paint the picture that they take care of their players, and it's trying to attract guys to get paid because it's a lot of player empowerment these days.
Yeah.
So if players are seeing that the Clippers are handing out money, even if the team is mediocre, they might say, okay, well, let me jump on board and get my money.
Yeah.
We might also win some games.
Yeah.
So again, Ballmer's got deep pockets. That's part of what's happening here.
Yeah.
Because not a lot of teams would give Kennard $64 million, in my
No.
opinion. But anyway, the last extension was just Kyle Kuzma, 3 years, $40 million.
Yeah.
So that averages out to $14 million a year.
It's not a bad contract.
Really not terrible.
Yeah.
For his value and the way that the contracts are being handed out now.
That's probably the best one, to be honest.
I would say Anunoby, but Kuzma would be second for me.
Yeah.
And I was surprised by this because I would have thought they'd just hedge with Talen Horton-Tucker.
Yeah.
Not saying they're one-of-one players, but you have a guy on a better value contract.
Yep.
And just give Kuzma, you can give him the benefit of the doubt and just let him play.
Yep.
And see if he is worth the money later on. Someone else is going to offer him that money, if not more. Maybe that was similar to Anunoby where they wanted to get him at a better price because they really do value Kuzma. I think they could replace Kuzma, but that's my opinion.
They could still trade him. That's the thing.
That's the thing too.
They could
yeah.
just trade him with the extension and move on from it.
Yeah.
It's a good contract. It's tradable.
That's true.
And someone in free agency would have paid him a lot more because
Yeah.
of the name. He's been playing in LA.
Probably
He'll
the
sell
Knicks.
jerseys. Yeah.
Next
yeah.
to be like, oh, Kuzma in
Yeah. We know.
30.
We know who he is.
Yeah. He was on the Lakers. Cool. $25 million.
Yeah.
Boom.
That's a very Knicks thing to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think with the way that the NBA is going, Kuzma fits stretch 4, can play the 5, has played the 5, would probably be more 3 or 4. But
Ideally not a 5, but he has played it.
he has played. Look, Talon Horton-Tucker's probably better off the bench. He's a bit of a spark plug. If he gets more minutes, he's averaging 9 minutes in 2 games, which is, more than I thought he would get,
Right.
even with the preseason hype. But he's shooting 100% from 3, so
I mean, there you go.
he's shot 1 3, and he nailed it.
That's
this
incredible.
season, so
Shout out to THT.
yeah, well done.
Because I'm THT. Dynamite.
Is that your
Did you like that?
theme song for him?
It should be.
Should be. Okay. Yeah, I'll send it off to Lakers marketing. We'll see how we go.
Yeah, I'm just jumping onto the THT hype bandwagon.
Yeah,
His
you were on
preseason was remarkable.
It was exceptional.
And it got way blown out of proportion, partly because it's the Lakers. The
Yeah.
Lakers just get all the hype.
Yep.
They get all the media attention. It's LA, I get it. But yeah.
Again, that's the same thing as I was just saying. So you let a guy like Kuzma go in free agency, someone's going to pay him because he'll sell jerseys. People know his name.
True.
Even with, average production, he's worth the contract that he was given in LA. He could have got more in free agency. He's stuck on that contract now for 3 years.
Yeah.
So more full Kyle Kuzma. But yeah. Look, let's just see how the Lakers go this year. And if he gets traded on that contract, he will not get anything like that again, I don't think. So
Unlikely.
yeah,
Very unlikely.
Having a playmaker like LeBron, and he had one like Lonzo Ball before that, you don't get that everywhere you go. So,
Yeah.
he's a product of his environment.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on now to some of the most relevant games that we thought that we saw this season so far. Yeah, I mean, do you want to start?
I've just got like a couple of takeaways. Not so much games, but it's too hard this early in the season.
It's far too early, yeah.
To even go, let's watch them. They're going to be really good.
Yeah.
Because of the amount of layoff that we've had. We've had 6 months. Some teams haven't played for 6 months.
That's right.
Some teams haven't played for 2 months. So it's just too up in the air. But I've been really impressed by Kyrie and KD.
Yeah.
We kind of
Bashed them.
Yeah, we did. We did.
We weren't too high on the Nets. Definitely first to admit that.
They're a really deep roster.
Man.
And Kyrie just can't seem to miss at the moment. And
slow
KD looks like he's...
KD?
Yeah.
He's not even going that hard either.
No.
He's probably playing at like 70. I would say 80%, it would seem like.
But 80% of KD is still a superstar.
Amazing, yeah.
That's the thing.
I mean, it's super early. There's all this, there's a lot of talk already that he could win MVP, and I understand that.
Yeah.
It's far too early
Way
for
too
that.
early.
But I understand that the narrative could be built. He's come back from an Achilles that was pretty devastating in the finals. Everybody was watching.
Yep.
And he comes back and he's the same guy. And the Nets get a top 3 seed. I can see it. But way too early. Just give it a rest. Like MVP talk 2 games in. Let's not start.
Yeah,
But-
there's so many overreactions online.
Yeah,
it's just been
that's the nature of
It's
it.
been crazy, man.
That's the nature of it.
It's been really crazy. But yeah, I think that those two have been the most impressive to start the season. Whether they can maintain that level of play,
It would be incredible.
really doubt it. But it'd
Fun to
be
watch.
something special if they
Yeah.
could. I also owe Terry Rozier an apology.
Oh, Scary Terry.
Yeah.
He's back.
I said last week that we would never see Scary Terry again, and Scary Terry showed up.
Josh is
to prove me wrong.
terrified. That's
I
how
am.
scary he was.
He just caught fire
Yeah.
and went off.
Well, here's the thing. For some reason, he plays well against Cleveland. I think he had his career high last season against Cleveland.
Yeah,
He just torches them.
Look, there's not much defense in that backcourt, but Scary Terry still had to hit open shots, which has been a problem for Terry for quite
Yeah.
some time.
That's
So
true.
I've been very impressed by Scary Terry so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one game. So
So yeah, Scary Terry's back. Keep an eye out.
he's actually playing right now, and he's got 12 points in the third quarter.
I'm moderately disturbed. I'm not scared yet.
Okay.
It's not quite scary. But nonetheless, yeah. keep an eye.
Frightened Terry.
Shivering. Slight shivers. And it's not cold here. in
Slight
Brisbane.
shiver Terry.
Slight shiver Terry. We'll go with it.
Yeah,
We'll get
I like
some
it.
T-shirts printed.
Yeah, let's do it.
But yeah, so Scary Terry's doing his thing. I'm sure he appreciates the apology.
Yeah, Shout out Terry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so another thing I thought the Kings Nuggets game, this is not really relevant to the rest of the season. That was a fun little game to watch.
Yeah.
And I thought the Kings I think they're going to be feisty this year.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize, and I didn't put this together in my head, but Bogdanovich, a good player, got signed by the Atlanta Hawks.
Yep.
He was not in the way of Buddy Hield, but Buddy Hield somewhat resented, I think, that he was taking minutes.
Yeah.
And now the only person in the way of Buddy's minutes is like Tyrese Halliburton. And because he's a rookie, he's going to make mistakes. Therefore, Buddy Hield's going to get the benefit of the doubt to play more, as he should. Hield's a great player. And I had proposed a trade with the Nets. I can see the Kings keeping this roster. Because Bagley, if he's healthy, he's a nice piece. In fact, a really nice piece. Can play 4-5, stretch 4-5. Halliburton off the bench. He might even start getting minutes. More minutes than...
Starting minutes, maybe.
Starting minutes, yes, similar to that. And then you could play a 3-guard lineup with him, Fox, and Hield. I mean, they're a feisty little team. I kind of like it. And it's still early, keep in mind. But
I was impressed by the Kings too. I thought they looked really good.
Yeah.
Bullish.
Yeah.
They played a different style of basketball. Considering, last season they were just kind of pace and space. There wasn't much more to the game. So to see them kind of develop a little bit of inside out, and Halliburton looks like a stud.
I love him.
Just
I love his
fits
game.
seamlessly into that team.
NBA ready.
Man, just I could go on and on about Halliburton all day. He was the steal of the first round. Aside from Denny Avdia, those two.
That's right.
Really just sensational. And Halliburton has started hot. Played 30 minutes in his first NBA game, which is
pretty good.
A lot for someone who's just walked out of college pretty much. Had no preseason, no training camp, and then just to come into the NBA and play 30 minutes.
That's right.
And defensively,
he's
that was
really
the
good
biggest question mark.
Because he can defend 3 positions at least, especially in today's NBA.
Yeah.
He's got length, he's got smarts,
Yep.
quick feet. So, I love Tyrese Halliburton on that roster as is.
Yep.
If there's more space for him to play, even better.
Yeah. I think the movable piece on the roster is Buddy Hield still. If not, maybe Harrison Barnes, and then you can play...
Maybe Corey Joe. And I love Corey Joseph, but he's probably movable as well.
He's on too much. I think he's being paid like 12 mil or something.
That's a lot, actually.
Yeah. So, I don't know why they did that. I don't know why they did that. But yeah, the other take I had was Miles Turner had a come get me game.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's right. He had 8 blocks.
8 blocks. And he said, Boston, Toronto, whoever may want me, come get me.
Yeah.
8 blocks.
Toronto?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Toronto
actually,
need a center.
I didn't even consider that.
Yeah. They need a center.
Maybe I can discuss it a bit now that it's on my mind in Homer Corner. But yeah, I think he could fit in there because he can shoot the 3. He's just a good shooter, period, even if it's not a 3.
Yeah.
Defends the rim.
Yep.
He's still young. I think he's 24, 25 years old.
Yeah, he's only young.
He came in the league at like 19.
I'll get his numbers.
So anyway, yeah, good for Miles. Sabonis had a good game as well. So
yeah,
it's like,
Sabonis was outstanding.
Yeah. Keep an eye out for the Pacers.
If those two can work out their playability, their scheme fit, if they can work Sabonis more to outside in, and leave the middle open for Miles Turner, then it can work. But I still think he's
probably going to get
piece that
moved.
needs to be moved.
Yeah, him and someone else.
But I think Boston, more than any other team, need a center, especially after their first 2 games. They were absolutely dominated inside.
That's fair.
They were terrible. Inside on the boards, they weren't good. Offensively, defensively, they were just out-rebounded, out-muscled inside. And Daniel Tice is a plus defender, but he's not a rebounding big. And
he's not an anchor.
No.
That's the thing.
Tristan
but here's
Thompson's
the thing.
not either.
I was going to say, I actually kind of like the way the roster fits now, but not taking away from what you said, they definitely could use a lot of help inside.
Yeah.
I kind of like the way it fits now because you're opening up the floor more for Tatum and Brown. You don't have the Hayward distraction.
Yep.
Kemba's been out, which affects their offense a little bit, although they haven't seemed to miss a beat again 2 games in.
Yep.
But I think if the team is going to play the way they are, which is going to be basically 4 wings. You could
Yep.
call the guards wings.
Yep.
4 guys out, and then Thompson to crash the boards or what have you. They probably are going to get hurt because Tatum's not an amazing rebounder.
Yeah.
Brown can get physical, but again, he's not a 4 or a traditional big guy by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
So I think if they're going to continue to play that way, they're just going to have to man up and get some boards.
Yeah.
If the problem is rebounding, it comes down to Tatum and Brown getting in there and getting their hands dirty.
Yep.
So I don't know. That's something to keep an eye on. I actually thought Teague has played really well for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Impressive
I
off the
thought they were
bench.
going to miss Wanamaker.
Yep.
More than
They
they have. Yeah. So Teague has come in and been a good replacement for that.
Yeah, well, I thought so too. That was one of my takeaways early that, they're going to miss that bench depth with Wanamaker there. He was really good for them off the bench, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He was outstanding.
He was.
But yeah, Teague's looked really good so far. And yeah, they look okay, but I do think they just need a big man. They need a 7-footer.
A better big man, yeah.
It's a tough league to play without, a big that can stretch the floor. Daniel Tice does that, but you need someone else inside.
Actually, Turner. I don't know if Turner for Thompson is a good 1-for-1 for both teams, but the Celtics probably would benefit from that trade, and Thompson can come off the bench in Indiana. So who knows? That could be out there. Only time will tell.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. That's the only real takeaway I had from Miles Turner's game. And I've been a little bit disappointed by the Warriors.
I mean, I'm glad you brought them up. They're sorely missing Draymond Green.
Yeah.
Sorely. Like, his defensive communication and the way he can facilitate their offense is so important.
Yeah.
Their flow has been so off. It wasn't fun to watch either of the games.
ISO. It's just like you.
Well, it's a lot of like, it's all screwed up now. Now I have to ISO.
Yeah.
It's like late shot clock shots
and bad shots.
Kelly
Really
Oubre.
ill-advised shots. Kelly Oubre's been poor.
Yep.
And Wiggins has been Wiggins.
Yep.
So
it's still early.
Wiggins has been Wigginsing.
Yeah.
But he played really well with Draymond Green last year. So when Draymond gets back on the court and has weapons around him, that was his biggest issue last year. I don't think he fell off. He was defensively bad, but he didn't have to be good. The team was bad.
There was no pressure.
He didn't have to do anything, so he didn't.
He was only missing the best backcourt of all time.
Exactly.
So.
The best backcourt of all time, as well as, the depth that they had the year before with Iguodala and the rest of the mob off the bench.
That Kevin Durant guy.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Kevin Durant.
Well, they were missing him from the year before.
Is he good, is he?
Well, we can talk about that later.
Okay.
In Shots Fired. But yeah, they're just missing depth.
Yeah.
Or they were missing depth. So I didn't mention Klay Thompson's name because it's obvious that he's out. You could easily say that they're missing him.
Yep.
But I think if they just had Draymond Green back, you would see a significant difference
100%.
in their performance.
100%.
He's like another point guard out there, a floor general.
Yep.
He keeps everybody accountable.
Yep.
So yeah, they're really missing him.
Well, there's missing assignments on the defensive end.
Yeah.
They've got a rookie starting in center who has been trying to do too much, which is what I said to you early, is that if he tries to hit mid-ranges and three-pointers, that they're going to struggle because they need him to just play inside. His first couple of buckets were rolling to the rim off a Curry pick and roll, which is what he needs to do.
That's a good fit for him.
Over and over and over again.
Yeah.
If it's boring, so what? You're a rookie. Like, unfortunately, that's how rookies need to play. He put up a couple of really ill-advised mid-range shots the other night.
He had a couple threes. I'll give him that credit.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think he can be a stretch 5 ultimately, but
he doesn't have to right now.
Right now, I
that's
agree,
the
man.
thing. Like, you've got Wiggins who can shoot threes, Oubre who can shoot threes, and Steph who's the greatest three-point shooter of all time.
You say Wiggins and Oubre can shoot threes. They're supposed to be able to. I haven't seen much. I mean, Wiggins is okay, but again, he's getting paid handsomely. Oubre has been disappointing, but it's still early. The Warriors have a lot of kinks to work out, offensively, defensively. They're just really missing Draymond Green. Can't say it enough.
Agreed.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Westbrook. Back to averaging a triple-double this year.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
The league isn't ready.
He's literally just doing everything possible to get statistics. I like Westbrook.
So do I. I love watching him, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'd want him on the Raptors or my other teams or whatever, but I like Westbrook as well.
He's back to playing with one of the best shooters in Bradley Beal. So he went from Kevin Durant to James Harden.
That was a misspeak. That was, you meant to say Davis Bertans.
Oh,
And they also have
you're
Bradley
right.
Beal.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. The Latvian laser.
Latvian laser.
Yeah, back to playing with, one of the best shooters of all time in Davis Bertans.
Correct.
And he has weapons around him. His assist numbers have been good. They're back to, playing at triple-double level.
Westbrook ball.
Yeah. Unfortunately for the Wizards, it means that they're probably not going to win many games this year.
We'll see, man. The East isn't like...
No,
it's not a scary conference.
It's not. It's not a challenging conference. So they could pick up a lot of wins on the way. I would like to see Westbrook calm down a little bit and try and get his teammates open, let Thomas Bryant pick up his rebounds, and let Isak Bonga play a bit more inside. It's just such a strange roster. So he really is trying to do too much right now because it's a lot of mishmash.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of new players in there thrown into the rotation. So a lot of players trying to find their way.
Well, here's the thing. So Westbrook and head coach Scott Brooks are reunited.
Yep.
What do you think Scott Brooks is going to do? Tell Russell Westbrook to play a different way?
No.
He's going to unleash him.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. And that's the thing. Like, Westbrook is very heady. He has a mentality that's hard to compare to anybody else. Like, he plays 300% every game.
Yep.
And that's why I love watching him. But at the same time, I agree with you. Winning games.
He's just picked up another triple-double.
There you go.
Yeah.
15, 15, and 10
just
as we
ticked
speak.
over in the fourth quarter of the Wizards Orlando game.
He's got 15 boards. He's got twice as many as anyone else.
Yep.
So, yeah, Westbrook ball is back on the menu.
Yep.
Does everyone want to order that? I don't know.
No, I don't think anyone. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know if I want to see that. I really don't.
I mean, I want to see it if I'm a fan of a different team.
Yeah.
Because I agree. I don't know if that's going to contribute to wins.
Yep.
But again, Westbrook has had some He's had regular season success.
Yep.
It's more the playoffs where I get a little bit worried.
Yep.
Yeah, not super bullish on that style in the playoffs.
I can agree.
We'll see.
Yep.
Last team I wanted to touch on was just the Pelicans. I think they're going to be really good. They look pretty good so far.
Yeah.
I think SVG, Stan Van Gundy, has brought a new level of accountability to that roster.
Yep.
Previous head coach was Alvin Gentry, who was good. He's kind of like, he always feels like a fill-in head coach wherever he is. And he does good things for players. He's relatively accountable. He's good for development. But you bring in SVG, shifts everything around in terms of the mentality of the team, the intensity that you play with, the defensive schemes. It just looks really good right now. I honestly really like the fit of Steven Adams. A lot of people had questions.
I like it too.
But I'm a huge Steven Adams fan.
He looked really good the other night playing against the Heat.
He's so big.
Really impressive.
He's
really
such
impressive.
He's an imposing presence on the floor.
Yep.
And I think it's funny because he looks like he would kill anybody.
Yep.
But he's also probably the most laid back.
Giant.
Yeah, he's probably the most laid back guy in the league.
That's just that New Zealander in him. They're just so chill, man.
Yeah.
I wish I had some of that. I wish I had some of that. The last take I had was Shake Milton's potential six-man, being six-man of the year candidate. He's been really impressive. Looked really good in their first game.
Yeah.
Has a lot to his game that helps out the Philadelphia 76ers off the bench. Probably the best bench player they've had in quite a while. I can see him being a really important piece for them, especially with Danny Green probably only playing about 20 minutes a game.
And he is not the same player I expected him to be when he signed with the Lakers. Like he's just kind of been like, meh.
Yeah.
Nothing special.
Good defensively, doesn't really offer you much else.
Locker room leader.
Yeah.
Give him that.
Yeah.
But you can pay less for that.
Yeah.
Anyway. So that's the season so far. Let us know on our socials if there's anyone you think we missed. Anyone that you'd like us to talk about more.
Yeah.
Don't say the Lakers. We're not going to talk more about the Lakers.
Yeah.
They get enough clout in the media.
Yeah, and they lost game 1.
Yeah, that's
so
right. They don't deserve chat.
No,
Forget it.
they've got to win every game for me to talk about them.
At least 99% of games. One loss per year is acceptable.
Yeah, that's it. That's all they've got. All right. What's your hot take of the week, Mac?
Ooh. My hot take of the week. Are you ready for this?
I think so.
The windows are open. I think LaMelo Ball is the best draft pick Michael Jordan's ownership era has ever made.
Yeah.
Like, and the funny thing is, I'm including Kemba Walker in this discussion.
Okay.
I looked through the list. It's pretty sad. I think everybody who's
Very
a hardcore
sad.
fan knows this.
Yep.
Very sad record of ownership. They've picked guys like Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. They've picked... So the competitors... I'll just give you the contenders for this competition. So LaMelo Ball is my pick ahead of Kemba Walker, who's a Hornets/Bobcats legend for what that's worth.
Yep.
Gerald Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe... PJ Washington and Cody Zeller.
Yeah.
Those are probably their best draft picks.
Yep.
In over 10 years
Miles
of
Bridges.
ownership.
He was drafted
He
by
missed the cut.
someone else and then was traded, I think.
So I honestly feel like LaMelo Ball is the guy they actually picked well this year.
Yep.
Sorry, I shouldn't say he's the guy, but he's going to work out the best for them.
I can't argue with that.
And he had a poor first game, and I'm not holding that against him. Again, 2 games into the season, or 1 game in their case, they're playing right now. LaMelo is a great pick.
Yeah.
Congratulations to the Hornets.
He sells jerseys.
Big time.
He moves the needle as far as the franchise, as players wanting to go there.
Yep.
He's a big name, probably the first big name they've had there, which is why I really like the Gordon Hayward pickup, because it's just more big names to play in Charlotte. They haven't had that. Their big name signings before that were non-existent. They didn't have anyone on that roster that was, even half decent. They signed Terry Rozier the year before. He was their big get, and he came off the scary Terry postseason. So I like it. I think LaMelo Ball is the best player they've ever drafted. Probably a future
All-star.
superstar. I can see him being in that top tier of NBA players.
I'd like him in the All-Star game one year.
Yeah.
He's an All-Star type of player.
Yeah.
If
And I think
there's-
people think we're overreacting because his last name's Ball and he's had all this hype coming into his NBA career. But I really do think he has all-star potential, superstar potential. And if you can realize his ceiling and cut out some of the bad shots that he's had,
Exactly.
improve from beyond the arc, then
Yep.
man, he's got the world at his feet.
I think like you've pointed this out to me, when he gets on the floor, guys perk up.
Yeah.
And he's
The
looking for
energy
guys.
changes.
He's got great court vision,
Yep.
which I love to see in any basketball
Full
player.
court vision is
Yeah.
unheard of, man. He
I don't know what it is, dude. The Ball brothers,
Yeah.
maybe not Leangelo,
yeah.
they love the lead pass.
Yeah.
To just chuck it ahead.
It's easier for them to do that than play in the half court. And LaMelo actually plays better in the half court than Lonzo.
Right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it'll be interesting to see how their careers kind of go off on different paths. They have similar passing game, but everything else is different.
It's fairly different, yeah.
Yeah.
LaMelo's a bit more out of control at this stage.
Yeah.
But they're going to have a similar trajectory for their career at this point
I can agree with that.
until maybe 5-6 years in.
Yep.
But yeah, I really like that pick for them. Congrats to the Hornets.
Yeah. Agreed.
What's your hot take?
Ja Morant will lead the league in scoring this year.
Forget it.
Forget it.
Do you know who Kyrie Irving is?
Yeah, he won't do it.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
Who else is on the Grizzlies roster?
Dylan Brooks.
Giannis.
Canadian.
Giannis Valanciunas.
Yeah. Okay. I see your point.
Yeah.
I don't think John Morant's leading the league in scoring.
I think he is.
But I like your hot take.
Thank you.
That's spicy.
I think he will. I think he'll probably average about 29, 28, maybe
Okay.
30.
Do you think he'll get 10 assists as well?
No.
Really?
No.
Okay, interesting.
He'll probably be about 8, and I think rebounds about 5, maybe like
Okay.
38 and 5. I could see being his ceiling.
I'll give you top 10 scoring in the league. John Morant.
Thanks, man. That's nice of you.
I know.
No, I really think he'll lead the league in scoring. He scored 28 today, 28 and 7 he had, and that's against Atlanta. There's no one else that's scoring on that roster.
Yeah, it's a bit barren. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
It's a decent roster. I
mean,
think they have some moves to make, but
when Kyle Anderson puts up 20 and 14, and he's your second highest scorer,
yeah,
you know,
questions.
yeah, I just think there's no one else on the Grizzlies roster. They need to make some moves. Otherwise, yeah, Jar's going to be averaging like 28, 30, 40, put up 45 in the first game. He's going to try and put the team on his back, which he did all through college. So
that's true.
It's not unheard of for him.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think you're onto something interesting because I think he reminds me a lot of Derrick Rose.
Yep. And
Derrick Rose had lead the league in scoring potential.
Yep.
But I don't see it this year.
Yep. Okay. That's fine.
But that's your hot take.
That's my hot take.
Yeah.
Not yours.
It's pretty hot.
Thanks.
Might need a pot holder for that one. Just quickly, there's some games you might want to keep an eye on this week between the 28th and the 3rd of January. So on the 28th, the Blazers take on the Lakers. I think that's going to be a good matchup.
Yep.
I'm excited to see the Blazers and how they work out this year.
They've been pretty good. They
Yeah.
were pretty good in their first game.
They're a bit deeper than last year.
Way
and
deeper.
You need to be deep to play the Lakers.
Yes.
The day after that, on the 29th, the Raptors play the 76ers.
Yep.
Always a fun matchup. Nick Nurse is, in my opinion, one of the best strategists in the league. And I always like to see how he works defensively, how he makes up a scheme for the 76ers.
Yep.
They're a bit different this year, so we'll see. Honestly, it's kind of like a barometer for how the rest of the league plays the Sixers.
Yeah.
Because it's early season, and you have a tactician like Nick Nurse. Teams are going to be like, oh, okay, that's how you play the Sixers. That's how I view it.
Based off...
That's some early homer corner stuff, but...
Yeah. Based off what they've done in the past, the Raptors, is just leaving Joel Embiid
just
on
stand
an
off.
island
Yeah,
and just going, shoot.
that's right.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yeah.
22 feet, all yours.
He does not hit them.
No.
He's really struggled against the Raptors for a long time, and I
Mm.
think that's why. Because they don't allow him to go inside. They collapse the defense. They let him kind of, try and win the game on his own, which he tends to do. But now they have more shooters around him, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Nurse handles
More
it.
spacing this year, yeah.
Yep.
The thing is with Embiid is I hate watching... Like, I like watching him, but I hate watching him take the... Like, he gets the ball mid-post, maybe 18 feet, and he does this sort of thing.
Yeah, and then fades away.
And he does like a Dirk leg up fadeaway.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like just
It's
bully
really
your way in
frustrating.
there.
It's really he's one of the most frustrating players to watch. I've
He's
said
got
that
to
before.
be,
But
yeah, just his sheer size. I would say he's probably in the 5 or 10 largest people in the league.
yeah,
He doesn't take advantage of it.
comparable to Shaq.
Pretty comparable to Shaq, yeah.
Yeah.
Size-wise, yeah. Other games to watch the day after that on the 30th. The Bucks play the Heat.
That's a nice
Playoff
one.
rematch, yeah. We'll see if Giannis has learned anything from his embarrassing...
Well, he's actually struggled the first 2 games.
You're saying that because of his stats or because he missed the free throw to win the game?
Missed a free throw. He hasn't been shooting all too well at all.
True.
I think teams are kind of just collapsing the defense. Chris Middleton's been impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Credit to Chris.
Bucks haven't really looked great. I have
Mhm.
to be honest. It's early though. Like again, it's no indication of how things are going to finish up. So, but yeah, they've looked pretty ordinary.
Yeah.
So we'll see how they kind of move on from there.
Just with the Bucks, they're definitely a regular season wins type of team.
Yeah.
I think they'll get on track, no problem. Like they haven't really changed the roster, but you're not wrong. The Bucks could look a lot better.
They could.
Next, we had the Heat and the Mavs on the 1st.
I like that one.
Open
Luka
the new year.
torched us last year.
Did he?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting to watch. They'll have some defensive headaches. I'm sure Miami will.
Yes.
But Miami will give Dallas some defensive headaches.
Well, Jay Rich has been really good.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
fits
he has been.
really well with Luka.
Outstanding fit.
Probably, it has a lot to do with the organizational fit. Last year really struggled in Philly. They play a very different game to any other team, especially Miami. Very, very different.
Dallas is very established in how they're playing right now. Like they had a system. Over the years, they've been building this sort of pace and space system. Like Rick Carlisle is a very adaptable coach.
Yep.
And then they now have incorporated a legendary player already in Luka Doncic.
Yep.
Transcendent talent. So you kind of have this system where you continue to have pace and space, spread the floor, shoot threes, take good shots. And Luka is the perfect leader for that system. But Josh Richardson is a good piece to plug into that. He didn't plug very well into Philly at all.
Yep.
So definitely can see why that's working. They've also got, Tim Hardaway Jr. is
the
pretty
most
good.
underrated NBA player.
I like him a lot.
Yeah.
He's just fun to watch.
Yeah. I love him. Just an absolute heater.
They don't even have, fair enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got quite a hot hand sometimes. They don't even have Kristaps yet.
No, I know.
So keep an eye out for Kristaps.
They really missed him yesterday. The issue that I thought they would have, they've already had. They were found out in the middle against the Lakers. Rebounds, they were out rebounded.
Yeah.
Absolutely dominated by Davis inside. They need a big man. They really need a big man.
Well, the interesting thing with that is the Mavs started small. They went with Dwight Powell, Dorian Finney-Smith, Luka, Josh Richardson, Tim Hardaway Jr.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of rebounding there. Dwight Powell's a nice player, but he's going to get dominated by Gasol, James, and Davis in that.
He looked lost.
And Finney-Smith is a good player as well, but again, way undersized.
Yeah.
You can only be so scrappy for so long.
Yeah.
Didn't work out that well. Pelicans play the Raptors on the 2nd of January. Rematch of opening night for the Raptors. Again, early homer corner. I think the Raptors are going to kill them because they're upset that they lost. The Raptors have a very good record. You can look this up of bouncing back from losses.
Yep.
So look out for that. And finally, on the 3rd, this is just the end of the week, the Nets play the Wizards. Westbrook against Durant, Westbrook against Kyrie, Beal against Durant, etc., etc. It's going to be a high-scoring affair. The Wizards play no defense. The Nets will probably develop defense eventually because they're going to be a contender. But you expect a high-scoring game. Probably must-see TV.
If the Wizards can't get their stuff together, then they could be in for a long night.
Yeah, I can see the Nets torching them.
Yeah,
but I can also see Washington just lighting it up. So keep an eye out for that game.
Yeah. Bertans to drop 40.
5.
Homer Corner.
This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. What is the matter with these guys?
Welcome to Homer Corner.
Yeah, welcome.
Where we are just going to keep it real about our favorite teams.
Yep.
Do you want to start, Josh?
I would love to. I believe that the Heat's 20th overall pick, Precious Achiuwa, is going to be Rookie of the Year.
Oh, my God.
Book it.
I don't want to hear about it.
Book it.
He looked good. I'll give you that.
Future Defensive Player of the Year. Book it.
He looked pretty good. That's pretty strong. He looked pretty good in the first game. He looks nice in the pick and roll, defending the rim.
He locked up Zion in the fourth quarter. He played the whole fourth quarter. We put out a defensive lineup, and because I am a Miami Heat stan, put out a lineup of Avery Bradley. I forget who else we had out on the court, but we didn't have.
There was 4 other players there too.
We didn't have Bam, Duncan, Tyler Hero, Goran Dragic on the court. It was literally all rookies and, first timers. And Precious was outstanding. Just
he was not
defensively outstanding. He's plus minus the other night must have been off the chart.
I think your middle name is plus minus. Josh plus minus Kleinen.
It's all plus minus.
Yeah, it's no doubt. Oh, we got some audio.
It's
about
literally 100% plus.
So you legitimately think he's going to win Rookie of the Year?
Yeah.
Okay, this is why it's Homer Corner because that makes no sense.
Yes, it does.
But I mean, you're entitled to be a homer.
It makes perfect sense. Precious is the best player I've ever seen.
I mean, you're turning your back on Duncan Robinson now. So
No.
calm
Duncan
down.
is the best player I've ever seen.
So who?
Bam Adebayo is the best player I've ever seen.
That's a Miami Heat fan for you right there.
Tyler Hero, I wouldn't trade him. Untouchable.
For James Harden.
No one.
I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't trade him.
I wouldn't trade him for Giannis.
All right. Cut that mic off. So on the Canadian side of things, actually they're playing in Tampa Bay. The Tampa Bay Raptors, Spicy P's back, and I love to see it. Kyle Lowry looks as goaty as ever. The GOAT Raptor, the Groat Greatest Raptor of all time. Honestly, not sure when he's going to lose a step. He might play another 20 years. Him and LeBron are going to have the same retirement ceremony. And he's so important to the team. It's going to be weird not seeing him around. I just wanted to say, like, I can't profess enough love for Kyle Lowry. He's the engine. He's the little engine that could, and he did in 2019. I was really happy when he won a ring. Deserved the recognition. OG Anunoby just signed the best contract in the league. He's worth every penny and is worth more. And Masai did his thing and signed him for less than his actual value. So congrats to everybody involved. And last thing, just like a combo Homer Corner, I'd like to see a Matt Thomas versus Duncan Robinson shooting contest. Wouldn't that be fun?
It's no contest.
I mean, yeah, Matt Thomas is going to smoke him. It's pretty easy.
I will leave this podcast.
So that was Homer Corner. Thanks for tuning
yours
in.
weren't as spicy as mine. You need to spice it up a bit. You need something blanket, just like, bah.
I just said OG Anunoby is the best contract in the league. Is that not spicy?
Did you say that?
Yeah.
I missed it. I mustn't have been paying attention. Your Homer take is that that's the best contract in the league. I think I covered it earlier that there's better contracts in the league. Duncan Robinson's on $2 million.
Still OG Anunoby.
Okay, whatever. I'm done arguing with you. All right. This segment of the podcast is called The Shootout. And today we are going to shoot out how much longer LeBron James is going to be the best player in the league or top 10 player in the league. Macca, what is your first point?
Well, I think LeBron is going to continue to be great, especially in the playoffs. I would give him another 3 to 4 years at the same level we're seeing right now. Definitely at least 3 more years. I don't think there's an athlete. First of all, there's not an athlete in the history of professional sports that's spent more time, invested more into his body and to his just his regimen is like second to none. If anybody can do it, which would be like the point is to play at least 20 years in the league. If anyone can do that at the level he's playing, it's LeBron James. I can't see any other way that it's going. Honestly, he's just so good, and I've never seen someone with his longevity. It's incredible.
I don't think he can continue it.
Where do you draw the line?
As a premier talent in the league, probably this year.
This year?
Yeah, 36.
Oh.
It's a really tough go because he's at some point it's just the way things work, he will slow down. It will happen.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
I'm not denying that.
Yeah.
But I do think he's got at least three more good years in him. And my point for the motivating factor is chasing the Jordan rings thing. So whether or not he wins 3 more rings to pass Jordan or even 2 more to tie him, he's sitting at 4 right now. That's up for debate. That's its own shootout segment. But I think he has a lot of different motivating factors. Honestly, another thing to keep in mind is he's chasing the all-time scoring record. So number 2, right now he's number 3. He just finished the last game. He's sitting at 34,285 points. Second of all time is Karl Malone at 36,928. And all-time leading scorer is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 38,387. Now, LeBron's only 4,102 points behind Kareem. If you do the math, at the pace he's playing, which again I think he can keep up, or even he might drop off a little bit in the next 3 years, that's achievable in less than 3 seasons.
Okay.
So he's probably going to aim for that at least. And then he's also aiming to get rings. Now, the rings thing, I think, again, the decline is inevitable. But by sheer force of will, LeBron being the leader, the intangible factor he is in every game, his basketball IQ, those things are going to lead to rings. And that's why I think he can definitely win at least 2 more rings, even if he's not the best player in the league. But if the argument is him staying as the best player in the league, definitely 2-3 more years.
Wow. Look, statistically, he's going to change the way he plays because he'll slow down.
Probably.
It's inevitable that, the athleticism will go down, but the court vision and stuff will always be at a premier level.
I think his shooting is going to improve too.
Really?
I think he'll become a better spot-up shooter.
Wow.
Just with age, but that's down the line.
Look, I really don't think he will. I think if anything, we see the numbers decline, so he can, meet up with Bronny later. So he'll take more care of his body through the season.
Fair.
We'll probably see him for the first time in his career fall under 20 points per game next year. Just for his career longevity, he'll cut down on his minutes. He'll probably put up more assists. His rebound numbers will go down. But we'll probably see him play more of a point guard role with less of an impact on the offensive end. I don't see him continuing the level of play for another 3 years. The way he plays, so 100 miles an hour and everything's so quick. The only thing that won't change is the court vision. Everything else will fall off.
Okay. See, again, I think he can still be the best player in the league despite not going. I think he's not going 100% all the time anymore. This season in particular, I can see being more coasty than previous years, but he's still the best player in the league. And given his longevity, his track record of taking care of himself and preparing for the playoffs, ultimately the team that wins the championship and the best player on that team is generally considered the best player in the world. The only person at this point that can challenge LeBron for that title to me is Kevin Durant, based on the skill set and the ability to win a ring. LeBron is going to continue to stay on the path to potentially being the GOAT if he's not already. And that includes this year and includes at least next year. I'm giving him at least 2 more years at the level he's playing right now. At least.
Yeah, I think he's got one.
One tops.
I think he's got one. I think at the end of this year, we'll see the play style change. And again, this is just opinion.
Yeah.
I've been saying this for a couple of years, so obviously I've been wrong to this point.
There have been people doubting him for a long time.
He's the best player I've ever seen.
Me too.
Unbelievable. One of my favorite players to watch. Love everything he does. It's just to the point now where at 36 years of age, he can't go up. He can't go up.
I don't see him going up statistically. It's
Yeah.
maybe assists at if anything.
Yeah.
But things are going to decline slightly.
Yeah.
But I don't think very much.
I
I don't
just
think
think-
it's going to be stark.
I just think his body is at the point now where, he's taken care of it to this point. But he's coming off now the shortest off season ever in the history of sports.
True.
It's bound to have a profound effect on the way he plays basketball, and the way his body holds up through the course of a game and course of a season. It's a tough one because I don't want to see it. But yeah, at some point, a player's body and anyone's body will just refuse to do what it used to do. I can see that affecting the way LeBron James plays and the numbers that he puts up. I can see him falling under 20 points next year.
Okay, that's fair. I disagree. I think he's going to continue to be great. One last thing, I just have a bold prediction for LeBron. Either one of these two things is going to happen. He's going to win at least 2 more rings, or he's going to hold out and he's going to play with Bronny for 1 season.
Yeah, I think he'll play with Bronny.
One of those two things is going to happen.
He'll play with Bronny. I don't think that's even up for debate. I think that's what he's holding out for. I don't think he cares about chasing stats anymore. I think he did when he was younger. But now that he's at this age, I think it's really just about he just wants to play with his son. He just wants to play basketball with his son. So
yeah, I get it.
Yeah, we'll see how it all ends up. But that's my opinion. That's your opinion. We'll agree to disagree.
And that's the shootout.
And that's it. That's the shootout. As quick as it
Put the
came,
weapons away.
It's gone. Yeah, we can't shoot anyway, so we're probably just spraying shots left and right. Yeah.
So last thing we're going to talk about today is just simply things that we'd like to see changed about the NBA.
Yeah, we're just going to drop 3 quick points.
Do you want to start or should I start?
You start. You
All
hit
right.
us.
So this is something I definitely would like to see changed. I'm sure this has been suggested. I don't know why. Nothing's been done about it. We should have a playoff MVP
100%.
instead of a finals MVP.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we need to cut off 75% of the playoffs. There's just no recognition for it.
Yep.
There's an entire season that we praise with an MVP award, which is fine. No problem with that.
Yep.
What happened to the first 3 rounds of the playoffs? It just doesn't matter. We look forward to the playoffs. It's the most exciting basketball to watch, aside from March Madness, arguably.
Yep.
And there's no award for that. There's nothing. It's just, now you're in the finals. This 7 games is more important than the first 3 rounds. It makes no sense to me.
100%, man.
And there's examples in the past where, for example, 2007, I don't know if you remember, the Spurs beat the Cavaliers in the NBA Finals. It was LeBron's first appearance in the finals.
Yep.
I remember watching the finals that year, and it was exciting because LeBron was in there. Had just come off an exciting series against the Pistons. And the Spurs were the Spurs. They were kind of the vaunted veteran team that was always up there or in around the finals. And so all throughout the playoffs, Tim Duncan, legendary Spur, was the best player on the team. For sure. The numbers back it up. His importance to the team, you can ask any Spurs fan. He's the greatest Spur of all time by a wide margin. Tony Parker won the finals MVP. It was a 4-game sweep of the Cavaliers. And he averaged something like 25, 26 points per game, whatever. But there was no mention of Tim Duncan at all. So because of a matchup, and the Cavs were a bad matchup for the Spurs that year, really bad. They shut down LeBron. LeBron had no help at all. Look it up. But Tony Parker went off. Fair enough. You had a great series. But how do we not reward the guy that took them there with his impeccable performance every year? Tim Duncan was the best player on the Spurs for years.
Yep.
You wouldn't have heard a peep about it. It was just the Tony Parker show. So we need a playoff MVP. Adam Silver, make it happen.
Yeah, come on, Adam.
And in fact, I'll say I can be persuaded to keep the Finals MVP, but just have have that as an additional award. The playoff MVP is where it's really at to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Finals MVP should still stay.
It's important.
There should be a playoff MVP awarded, only because you see so many talented players get knocked out early who have done so much for their franchise to get them to that point. We saw it last year with Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray. Those two were sensational. And
absolutely
meant so much to their franchises to get them to that point.
Yeah.
And then you look at, players like Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler, who got no reward out of the postseason.
Yeah.
But would have been in the discussion for a Finals MVP award. Jason Tatum put up some incredible performances in the playoffs. The list goes on.
It does.
It's such an important part of the season, and we just have one award for the last 4 games, possibly 4 games, to hand someone an award and go, here, you played really well.
For a short period of time.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
If you're going to give an entire season an award, why can't you give an entire playoffs an award?
I agree, 100%.
I don't know where that started or why they limited it, but anyway. I'll give another one here. I just wish that the all-NBA teams were positionless.
Yeah.
And my argument here is that too often you see players that should be rewarded for their outstanding season, they get left off because they don't play a certain position. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
The all-NBA teams are not, it's not a list of players that are going to play against each other. In the All-Star game, I understand, you can't just have a bunch of forwards and then a bunch of guards on the other team. It doesn't make any sense. But all-NBA, there's no game being made of it. It's just recognition. Why can't the 5 best players in the league be a similar position?
See, I think it should even be the All-Star game be the same way. The way that it's drafted now, so you got your 2 teams like Giannis and LeBron, they pick their teams. So you would never be left without a big man.
That's right.
Or a guard. They both make it happen. And I think the way that the league runs now anyway, it's positionless. So you bring in a coach and they can run the whole team for you. It's a muck around. It doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think that the All-NBA team should be positionless. I think with the way that the league is now, you got Jokic who carries the ball up the floor. Does that make him a point guard?
Exactly. And he's essentially the point guard for that team because they run 4 out. He stands at the high post or the 3-point line.
Exactly.
And yet he gets pigeonholed as a center.
Yeah.
And sure, he's going to make it anyway.
Yep.
But then you have some players like Anthony Davis who, they moan about him playing center, or he moans about playing too much center or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they put him in as a forward, and then some other center has to be put in because he's a center.
Yeah.
Whereas Davis could easily just be the center, and you bring in someone else.
Yeah.
Or just eliminate that altogether, and then you have the 5 best players.
100%.
Davis, let's say last season, Davis, probably Jokic, LeBron, Harden, Doncic. Done.
Yeah.
There's no worry about center. There's no
Yeah.
worry about positions.
Yeah.
Whatever. Those
They're
are the
just
5
the
best
best
players.
Yeah.
And that's how it looks on
But I also think it should be 6.
Okay. As a 6th guy?
Yeah, I think the impact off the bench now, you can't. You need to have your best bench player in the league as part of the All NBA first team.
That's an interesting take. I've never thought of that.
Because your team is not 5 guys; it's 10 guys. So to say that the All NBA first team doesn't go beyond 5 players, I just think your bench is so valuable. But yeah, it'd be tough giving a guy that award over Damian Lillard, who is arguably one of the best scorers in the NBA.
Yeah.
And then to bring in a 6-man like Montrezl Harrell in the first team is pretty tough. But
That would be really tough.
I think that there's ways to do it. And yeah, bringing in the bench would be important, and it should be part of your award.
That's an
More
interesting
so than
take,
just
for sure.
A 6-man.
I mean, that makes sense. I was just going to say, please, someone explain to me why we shouldn't just simply have the 15 best players rewarded. You can argue about the bench player thing, but why does it matter what position they play? The NBA is positionless anyway, essentially. Yep. Most teams are.
Yep.
Look at Miami.
Yeah.
Look at, again, like you say, Jokic. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
It's archaic.
It really doesn't. What's your last one?
Okay. So I just wish they would limit challenges to the 4th quarter. Coaching challenges.
They take too long.
Well, they take too long anyway. That's another point, actually.
Yeah.
But I remember watching, I think it was I want to say a Lakers game last season in the bubble, and Frank Vogel challenged some out-of-bounds play in the 2nd quarter. It was like a 4-point game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
But again, actually, just to play devil's advocate to myself, if the coach wants to use it, maybe we should let them use it because it's his decision, and it could bite him in the behind later on.
Yeah.
But I just don't get it. Why do we care about a challenge in the 2nd or 3rd quarter even?
I want it to speed up. It needs to be quicker.
It does take a painful amount of time.
The coach's challenge is just such a slow process. But I think it should be 1.5 for each coach.
Right.
If they can speed up the process and make one feel like 2 rather than, them taking 10 minutes to decide whether someone was fouled or not. It's just such a painful process. Miami don't even use theirs. So
Spoelstra's good for that.
Yeah, Spoelstra doesn't like it.
But when he does use it, he's generally right, which I respect.
I don't remember the last time he even used it. Whether he has used it, it might have been an assistant coach's call. So if he doesn't like it, he's come out and adamantly said that it's, if you get a bad call, it's part of the game. So it is what it is.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah,
I actually like that take from Spoelstra.
Yeah, he
That's
doesn't
some street ball stuff.
I love Spoelstra.
Big
Anyway,
Spo.
I agree with that. I think it should be a coach's decision, but it needs to be an improved process. Whether they make it, you get one coach's challenge in the 4th quarter and that's it, or you get one per half and then you decide when you want to use it. I think there's better ways to do it.
Fair.
My first suggestion for changing the rules is adding a 4-point line.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
Expand.
And expanding the floor.
Right.
So by moving the courts out, you can make...
Oh, you mean widening the court?
Yeah, widening the court. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So by widening the court, you can make the 4-point line go all the way around, rather than just having it at the top of the key above the 3-point line currently. I think we'd really, it'd be much better for, stretching the floor, for inside-out game. All of that kind of stuff would be very different with an expanded floor. I can see the 4-point line benefiting a lot of teams and a lot of players. I've got Trae Young, Steph Curry, Duncan Robinson, Davis Bertans, and Damian Lillard, just to name a few.
Oh, man. The spacing would be pretty incredible. It's funny you bring that up because there's guys that shoot from pretty deep anyway.
Yeah. Logo
Lillard, exactly. Bertans loves to shoot from 35.
Yep.
We know Curry has a history of bombs.
Oh, absolute laser.
Like somebody, I mean, Curry is somebody that I think in his unanimous MVP season, he shot a higher percentage from 30 feet or deeper than from 30 feet to the 3-point line.
Yeah.
Like, it made no sense.
I think it'll just make teams more urgent on guarding those guys full court too. It'll make for a more interesting defensive impact.
Man, it's going to make it very
there'll be
difficult to defend.
A lot of full court guarding. I think that'll become more prominent. And then your defensive impact goes up then too. So you'll be looking for guys that can pick up guys full court. So Marcus Smart's bag will get bigger. But yeah, like his defensive impact's off the charts. But yeah, it's something that I think the league has to look at just to evolve the game even further, because 3-point isn't challenging when you're unguarded. So to catch a team and to go, oh, we're behind by 20 in the fourth quarter, how do we catch the team? Well, we just shoot fours. And that's what you do. You know, it's interesting. It's something that I think has there's a lot of work that needs to go into it just to make sure that it's viable.
Logistically, it's a little bit difficult to figure out.
It's tough.
It's funny, though, because then, it would make 4-point games more exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, like they hit a half-court shot and it only counts for 3 points. No, make it 4.
And then does that mean if you fouled on a 4-point shot, you shoot 4 or shoot 3?
You'd shoot 4.
Yeah.
And, okay, in that point, if you're down 5 and you foul a 4-point shooter, you could tie the game.
Yeah.
So 5-point games, exciting.
And a flagrant would be 6.
It's getting ridiculous now.
Anyway.
But I agree. The 4-point line would be awesome. I also wanted to point, do you think there would be an advent of 4 and D players? Guys that only shoot 4s and play defense?
Maybe. Maybe. I think they'd still be called 3 and D, but
4 and D.
You know, the guys that have limitless range, then their money just goes up. Like, how do you not pay guys that can shoot 4s then?
Yeah,
you go,
that's right.
Oh my God, they can literally catch a team with 2 shots when we're behind by 8.
I can see Porzingis being, because he's tall and he just slings it. I can see him shooting a lot of 4s.
Bol has really good range too. We haven't seen it yet, but he
shoots like a slingshot.
Yeah. Well, that's Manute. Manute just used to.
That's right.
Shoot.
Yeah.
His elbow fold all the way back behind his bum, and he just fling it
fun to
forward
watch.
with slingshot. The next one I've got 5-game playoff series.
Okay. That's the only one. Well, I don't want to say I want to push back because I think it's more exciting. I think I've made the point before where if you lose to a team 3 times, why do you deserve another shot?
Yeah.
In the first round. But at the same time, I think 4 games out of 7 is a pretty fair assessment as is. Although again, I'm actually kind of on the fence about this. I think it would be more exciting for the first round. These first round teams that come in and they're all exciting. Like let's say the Lakers and the Blazers last season, if it was a 5-game series, Lakers lose game 1. A little bit scarier because then you lose the second game and it's like, scarier. Now we're in for it.
I think it just makes every game matter more so than it does now, which is, it's really hard to kind of assess the impact that would have on the early games in the finals. I think we'd see a lot more higher seeds going early who aren't able to put their stuff together to beat another team. They may just
March
fall behind 3-2, you know what I mean? And that's it. It's done. Game over. Look, I think a 5-game playoff series would work for the first 2 rounds. And then I think getting into the finals, Western, Eastern Conference finals, and then the finals, it looks like it would probably still stay at 7, only because you want those games to draw in money and revenue.
It's just more fun.
Yeah. And you want to watch 7 games of those 2 teams going at each other. So
Heat Lakers was a good series to have 7 games.
Yeah, I would have liked to see that go.
9-game series.
So.
Oh man, yeah, I'm sure you have.
Last one I've got is a sophomore award. So
okay.
On top of the Rookie of the Year.
It's sort of like a halfway between Rookie of the Year and Most Improved Player. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
So only because Donovan Mitchell was the undisputed Rookie of the Year.
I agree. Sorry, Ben. And I love Ben Simmons.
Yeah,
but
I do too.
No doubt.
Ben Simmons would have been the sophomore winner. I think it's more of an award that should be given to people that have been in the league and then sat out a year, like Bol, like Chuma Akiki. They're second-year players. they've been in the league for a year. You know, they've been through rehab in their organizations. They've played games in their G League.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Sophomore award.
mm,
Let us know what you think about that. That's
Yeah.
a very interesting one. Josh has come out of left field with
yeah.
that one.
We didn't talk about that pre-show.
I've never even thought of
I
that in my
just
life.
Decided that I'd do that instead. Mix it
winging
up
it.
a little bit.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one actually. I like that.
Thanks, man.
So yeah, that's gonna wrap us for episode 5. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you.
Please reach out to us like we said on social media.
Yep.
We appreciate all the love and
Give us some topics for episodes, some things you want to see. Leave us some comments on Instagram, Twitter,
Yep.
Facebook,
questions,
TikTok,
concerns,
whatever
whatever.
you want to know. Just leave it in the comments and we'll get back to you, or we'll chuck it in the episode and
That's
give you
right.
a shout out. So
We'll try to put it in the episode.
we'll try. Yeah, it's already running at 2 hours, so we'll see how we go. But thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you next week. Happy holidays again.
Yep.
And yeah, all the best for the week.
Stay safe. Thanks for listening. Keep shooting.
Yeah, cheers.